watching Bounce TV News at 7.
Good evening, I'm Rockman Johnson. You're inside the news on Bounce. It's day 16 of the government shutdown and just 5 hours from the deadline for raising the debt ceiling. Now, lawmakers have said they would pass a plan that would temporarily reopen the government and beat that deadline. They've been meeting back and forth all day with CNN's Shannon Travis is standing by live from Capitol Hill, and Shannon has the latest. Shannon, what's going on in Washington?
At this hour, at any moment now, we expect for the Senate to begin negotiations over the bill to reopen the government and lift the nation's debt ceiling, a deal that was crafted by the two leaders of that upper chamber.
It's never easy for two sides to reach consensus.
But it appears a consensus has been reached.
Political adversaries set aside their differences and disagreements to prevent that disaster.
The details, according to sources, fund the government until January 15th, raise the debt limit until February 7th, set up budget negotiations between the House and Senate in the hope of reaching a long-term deal, and strengthen verification measures for those seeking federal subsidies under Obamacare. The ball went back into the Senate's court late Tuesday night when a House Republican plan fell apart.
After yesterday's events, the Majority Leader and I began a series of conversations about a way to get the government reopened and to prevent default.
It's up to Speaker John Boehner to put the Senate plan up for a vote in the House. In an interview with WLW Radio, he said he'll do just that.
We've been locked in a fight over here, trying to bring government down to size, trying to do our best to stop Obamacare, and we fought the good fight. We just didn't win.
The reaction from the White House, cautious optimism.
The President applauds Leader Reid and Minority Leader McConnell for working together to forge this compromise.
And avoiding another potential hurdle, Republican Senator Ted Cruz, the face of the opposition to Obamacare, announced he will not block this deal, but his rhetoric remained defiant.
Unfortunately, once again, it appears the Washington establishment is refusing to listen to the American people.
Now, in terms of what happens next, we expect for the Senate to pass this measure, then it will go over to the House, where we also expect it to pass there. In terms of those furloughed workers, those workers who have been out of work for some 16 days, a part of this agreement is that they will receive back pay. Live in Washington, I'm Shannon Travis. Now back to you.
Shannon, thanks so much. Now, if you're a little confused about the process of how a bill makes its way through Congress, let me help you out a little bit. Remember back when we were kids, Schoolhouse Rock? I'm just a bill. Well, it's a catchy jingle, but it's the simplest way to explain how a bill makes its way through Congress. Now, if you'll remember, I'm Just a Bill, that Schoolhouse Rock segment features that song of the same title. You hear it. It was written by Dave Frischberg, and it debuted as a part of America's Rock in the third season of the Schoolhouse Rock series. It's how a bill becomes a law, how it has to go through Congress, and how it has to be voted on.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far.
If you remember, so funny, Schoolhouse Rock really told us, but the bill is a simple way. It goes to Congress. It starts out in the House of Representatives, then it makes its way to the upper chamber, which is the Senate. If it's ratified or agreed on by both houses, it can then make its way over to the White House and then becomes a law. That's where we're having the impasse right now. Congress is looking at two different things. The House wants to do one thing, the Senate wants to do another, and the White House says that I'm not going to sign it unless it agrees with what we want that would comply with the law of the land. So there you go. Now you know the process of the bill and how it gets along. We'll post it. I'll tweet that link out in just a moment. Schoolhouse Rock really did teach us some really great things. Now, there's been a number of ugly moments along the road during the government shutdown and the looming default deadline. Carol Costello highlights some of the low points.
Hello, America!
Let's begin with perhaps the ugliest. Politicians capitalizing on World War II vets trying to visit their memorial. They were met with barricades, so protesters tore them down and piled them up in front of the White House.
This is the People's Memorial. Why is the federal government spending money to erect barricades to keep veterans out of this memorial. Our veterans should be above politics. Enough games.
But Senator Ted Cruz did not address what came after: Confederate flags and hate.
I call upon all of you to wage a second American nonviolent revolution, to use civil disobedience, and to demand that this president leave town, to get out, to put the Quran down, to get up off his knees, and to figuratively come up with his hands out.
Things got even uglier when lawmakers blamed one another for not funding NIH clinical trials for children. A message delivered in, yes, white lab coats.
Let us help people. Let us help children, please.
Democrats said they were outraged by all of this ugliness, but not angry enough to stop them from using it to raise money. The Democratic National Committee raised $850,000 the first day of the shutdown at a fundraiser for Charlie Rangel of New York. That's according to The Hill. But at least our elected leaders get to work out. As Democrat Bruce Braley pointed out, quote, "There's hardly anybody working down there. There's no towel service. We're doing our own laundry down there. And we pay a fee to belong to the house gym. So this is no different than if you're working for an employer that offers a wellness program." Maybe he forgot taxpayers pay for his extracurricular crunches.
Great package from Carol. Very interesting. Now, it's something that people are still trying to figure out what is going to happen in Washington. Of course, right now, if this agreement takes place and they vote tonight, we won't hit the debt ceiling. America can pay its bills, but we'll be to this process all over again at the start of next year. We'll have much more as Bounce News continues. A touching salute and a moving wedding. That's all coming up in just moments. That's on Say It, Post It. But first,
behind my bed, and I saw some shoes, and I'm thinking, oh, did I leave some shoes behind there? Or didn't think anything of it, and I looked and I kind of saw some ankles.
It was a frightening scene for one California woman who came home and found people in her house.
Immediately I jumped up, grabbed my husband and my kid, and said, let's go see what's happening. And he said that the police were already, en route and chasing the guys. And when he was on the phone, I could hear the siren.
We've got the details on how she went through saving her family and her own life. It's on our website right now, bouncenews.tv. Come on, read with me. Soldier salutes in a hospital. One heck of a moving wedding and a kangaroo in an airport that's not going anywhere. That's all in tonight's Say It, Post It. It's an amazing gesture by a true American hero. Corporal Josh Hargis was injured in an action in Afghanistan. He was lying in a hospital bed and his commanding office thanked him for his service and gave him the Purple Heart. To everyone's surprise, Hargis, who was thought to be unconscious, raised his arm and saluted his superior officer. The Army Ranger is now on the road to recovery and headed home to his wife. And talk about a wedding that really moved. This Japanese couple got married in an 11-car commuter train in Tokyo. They exchanged vows in car number 6 where they used to meet for dates after work. Guests who couldn't find a seat in the marriage carriage listened to the ceremony on the train's PA. And now for a commuter of a totally different kind, a kangaroo. Now this kangaroo was bounding through the domestic check-in area of the Melbourne airport in Australia. No one knows where the young male roo came from, but one thing's for sure, he wasn't there to catch a flight. Now, after leading authorities on a frantic chase, the animal leapt into the airport pharmacy and was finally corralled. Wildlife experts were able to sedate him and get him back into the wild. Now, you can always join the conversation. Find us online at bouncenews.tv or on Facebook, Bounce TV Tallahassee. Now, you can send me a tweet right now. That's at RockmanJ or at Bounce TV Tally. We want to know what you're thinking. We'll be right back. It's a group that we've seen throughout generations. It's the Tempting Temptations. I got a chance to talk with Dennis Edwards. Our talk is coming up in just moments as Bounce News continues. They're one of the most classic vocal groups known throughout the country, multiple Grammy Award winners, Motown sound, phenomenal group that we've loved for years and years, and they're coming to Tallahassee for the Presidential Gala, Florida A&M University. But joining me to talk about it is Dennis Edwards from the Tempting Temptations. Mr. Edwards, how are you?
I'm fine, man. I'm really looking forward to coming to Florida A&M. You know, it's one of the colleges when I was a young pup that I went down for a visit. I tried to go there. I wanted to go to A&T, and But Florida A&M, I ended up, just before I gave my answer, I ended up with the Temptations. So I had to make a choice. I'm going to college or singing. And of course, I made the latter.
which, of course, we're all grateful that you made that choice, because you have really sang the soundtrack of our lives.
But you know what, though? If I tell youngsters, coming up now, I would insist that instead of taking the break, go to college, or either go to college along with your break, because when you're out here in this world and you're making big money, nothing in the world is important as an education.
Tell me this, FAMU, of course, is an HBCU. What's the need to support HBCUs today?
Oh, it's such a great need. I mean, what other outlet do we have to support our masses? It's more important than ever that our young black people and white people can get an education in order to compete in this technical world.
Tell me this, as you come to Tallahassee, what should we expect from the gala on Friday night?
We're looking forward to the show. I talked to all the guys. If you remember us like we were 40, 50 years ago, you won't get that. but you will get the next best thing. We still dance. We still wear the uniforms. We have a great group. Of course, we lost Eddie, we lost Paul, we lost Melvin, and we lost David. But I replaced them, man. I got a guy named David C. He sings just like David Ruffin. I got a guy named Chris Arnold. He sings just like Eddie Kendricks. I got a guy named Mike Patello who sings like Melvin Franklin. And you wouldn't believe who I got to replace Paul Williams.
To who?
Paul Williams Jr.
Are you serious?
His son.
I didn't know that.
It was so amazing. I remember one night we were performing, and we were doing Losing You, and Paul had to leave the stage and go to the hospital. He went because Paul Jr. was being born. And then, to think about 40 years later,
that his son is taking up the reins.
Performing with me. A very mature young man. Plus he brings us a great young element to the group. He's been great. Sounds just like his father.
I didn't even know he sang. Wow.
Sings like his daddy, dances like him. And not only that, he's a fine young man.
Well, we thank you. In the words of Pearl Cleage in her poem, we speak your names, the names of the Temptations. Definitely you, Mr. Edwards, because you really changed music in America.
Well, I tell you, it's going to be a great show. If you remember all the old favorites, we're going to do the favorites. We're going to do a little comedy. We still dance. We don't kick quite as high. But you know what, though? It's our perfect type of show because we have a classy act, and for the presidential gala, it's going to be great.
Now, you can find Dennis Edwards and the Tempting Temptations. That's at the President's Gala and Concert this Friday, October 18th, 7 o'clock, the Al Lawson Center on the campus of FAMU. Tickets are still available. Now, gala tickets are sold out, but you can buy tickets to the actual concert. They're only $30. This year's theme is honoring academic excellence, celebrating our colleges and schools. Get your ticket right now. We'll be right back. It's a brave bottle with cancer that means a dance and a smile. Living better, mind, body, and soul. Your best life is on the way. Tonight in Your Best Life, a video featuring patients at the University of Minnesota Children's Hospital has gone viral. Two nurses decided to go do something fun to look back on for when children are finally cancer-free. It was a very interesting experience. Rena Sargentopoulos has more.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. There is perhaps little in this world sadder than a kid with cancer, but this will make you forget that.
It's not sad here. It's fun. We have fun with our kids. We have fun with the patients while they're here. We don't want it to be a sad time in their lives because they have enough stuff to worry about.
The nurses in Unit 5 at the University of Minnesota Amplatz Children's Hospital heard the song Brave by Sarah Bareilles and knew it just fit.
We wanted to give back to our patients because they teach us so much about life. Like, they are so brave.
So on their days off and before their shifts, they shot this video. Nearly 70 staff members danced their hearts out and cheered on their patients, who are not just the inspiration, but the stars. Show me how big your brave is. Sarah Ewald is brave and battling cancer for the second time.
There aren't always bad times, you need to be able to laugh about it and have fun.
What no one expected was their fun video to go viral. Some 300,000 people have already watched it.
We know these kids, we know their stories, what they've been through, but for other people to see how amazing they are and to be affected in the same way, it just means so much to us, and we hope it continues to inspire other kids.
How cool is that video? You got to cherish the moments and make memories whenever you can. You never know when things will change for the worst for you or a loved one. Take pictures, make videos. When you laugh, when you cry, when you love, whatever you do, make sure that you're making every moment count. It's a special luxury to be able to feel that moment over and over again. And that way you can also leave a carbon copy for those people coming up behind you who may not have been able to experience, and it could brighten someone's day. You know, that could be another key to living your best life. More Bounce News is on the way. We'll be right back. The News on Bounce continues, and you have the last word. You can log on right now, facebook.com/BounceTV Tallahassee or facebook.com/RockmanJFans. Catch me there. Let me know what's on your mind. You can always tweet me, but the last word, well, that comes from you. It's on the way. Of course, the last word comes from you. Let's get right into it. One of my guilty pleasures, my producer, KYRA, she knows me oh too well, and my newest guilty pleasure is The Real Housewives of Hollywood. Well, the newest episode of that show premiered last night over on BET. A very interesting show. Kevin Hart kicks it. I mean, it is probably one of the funniest shows I have ever seen. Here's what you're saying about the show. @TrizzleBad says, Kevin Hart is brilliant. Who makes a fake reality show? And it's a success. LOL, #RHOH. And if you don't know about the show, it's a reality show, a show about a reality show about guys who are married to famous women. So funny. @GRL Brittany says, pound Real Housewives of Hollywood is already 10 times funnier than last season. I think the last episode I saw was with Dwayne Martin, his wife Tisha Campbell, Boris Kojo, and Nicole Ari Parker Kojo. Completely hilarious. Check it out if you haven't seen it. We'll tweet out some stuff about that. Also, people are speaking out about bullying. 2 teens were arrested for bullying Rebecca Sedgwick to death. There's some comments she has. If you don't know, October is actually National Bullying Awareness Month. Here's what you're saying about that. My heart turns after hearing what happened to Rebecca Ann Sedgwick. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. Bullying has to end. #be kind. The other @SayNoToSuicide4 says, I'm going to have to make that change to stop bullying because nobody deserves to feel worthless. Y'all deserve happiness, and I'll give it to you. How nice. Sometimes when you go on social media, there's not always Twitter thugs. There are people who have really nice things to say. Now, right now, everybody is on standby watching what's going on in Washington. The House and the Senate say that there's an agreement, but until the vote is taken and it becomes law, there's still nothing that can be done. So we'll be watching it closely. We'll have all the latest on bouncenews.tv as well as through Twitter and Facebook. And remember, you can get all the final details tonight with me and Famika Highsmith on the news at 11. I'm Rockman Johnson. That's the last word. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.